Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. It's that time again when the sun streams in through the blinds and blinds me. Can I see you? I hope you can see me. Anyway, the morning after the night before, and a lot of people are talking about Anthony Joshua's sort of bizarre post-fight rant, which is what it was, a really impassioned stream of consciousness. And it seems to me that the defeat to Usyk last night just caused the volcano to erupt after literally years of playing the sort of corporate professional sort of mouthpiece, trying to desperately present a controlled, humble, stable guy. Joshua just had enough. He thought, oh, the hell with this, you know. He gave everything in that ring, and his performance was good. There's nothing to be ashamed of at all. Usyk, I think, is a great fighter. Small by heavyweight standards, modern heavyweight standards. Although not a small man, I think once you get to a certain size, you're gonna pose even people who are much bigger than you problems if you've got the skill. And my God, Usyk's got the skill. But it was unfortunate how Joshua reacted, picking up 2 of the belts and dumping them out of the ring. I didn't understand that at all. His sort of bizarre, like I say, a stream of consciousness, really. He just grabbed that mic and suddenly all the emotion was coming out. And, you know, we all have meltdowns in life at some point. We all chuck our toys out the pram, but we don't do it in front of millions of people on national television or international television. But I sort of get it. I do sort of get it, because I think Joshua, when you consider he did have a relatively short amateur career, he achieved a lot. He was a gold medalist at the Olympics, although I think he'd probably lost one of those fights, but, you know, hometown fighter and all that. He got the gold medal anyway. Did well in the World Championships, turned pro, and was fast-tracked. And as Eddie Hearn rightly said, the string of opponents that he's faced in very large venues under very great pressure it far exceeds anyone else in the heavyweight division. You look at Wilder's run at heavyweight, he was very, very protected, mollycoddled by the WBC, you know, like that ridiculous mandatory with Bermain Stavone, that rematch. And then you look at Fury, who is a, you know, a very, very good fighter, possibly a great fighter. May well be the best heavyweight in the world today, but we can't say that for sure because, you know, we all know he hasn't retired now. He's just waiting in the wings, weighing everything up like he normally does. And he only picks people when he's ready. I'll stop short of saying they're cherry picks, because you don't go to Germany and beat Klitschko, and you don't go to America and beat Wilder 3 times, or I include the draw as a win, without having some, you know, with a great deal of mental strength and a great deal of ability. So I'm not here to slag off Fury, who in fistic terms is very, very good. But he's not been on that great run, the sort of thing that, you know, Muhammad Ali did, Mike Tyson did, fighting very regularly, knocking out all the contenders. He just hasn't cleaned up the division. He's waited for other fighters to clean each other up. Joshua hasn't done that. Joshua's got 3 losses on his record now, but look at the string of people he's faced. So to do that creates an immense amount of pressure for a fighter, and to live in that, you know, social bubble where, you know, very few of us could do it. And don't forget, fighters are a special breed. When they get in that ring, you know, they have a different mentality to most of us, which is what separates them from us. Most of us just couldn't get anywhere near to doing what people like Joshua, Fury, Usyk do. Getting into a ring in front of, you know, tens of thousands of people at the event, millions of people watching all around the world, and doing what they do. It's a remarkable mindset. So when it goes wrong, inevitably at some point, the emotion will come out and you will make a bit of a fool of yourself. But we're human beings and we feel these things, and it's a shame that Joshua did that, because his performance warrants, you know, a lot of kudos. And certainly Usyk, his performance was, I mean, the guy, what, 20 pounds of natural weight lighter, taking those body punches throughout the whole fight. And coming back, that torrid ninth round that he had when he came back in the 10th, amazing stuff. He is an amazing, brilliant fighter, Usyk. But Joshua deserves credit as well, and he's kind of, it's a whole obscurantist thing. It's covered up the good things, the great things that came out of this fight. I think it's a great, great shame that this happened. And I think Joshua's, obviously his brand, I hate that fucking word, but his brand will suffer and all this sort of shit. But at the moment, I don't really care about that. I don't think he does either. You know, he's made tens and tens of millions of pounds, whatever it is, probably 100 million quid in his time, all those stadium fights. But it is a shame. It is a shame what happened. But with the benefit of hindsight, should we be surprised? Because if you go back several months to that sort of infamous IFL TV interview Joshua gave, where he just seemed mentally shot, he just seemed emotionally all over the place. He was talking about being a street guy and looking up to gangsters, American gangsters, and all this. You know, he sounded like a 15-year-old boy who, you know, has just started county lines dealing and is, you know, thinks he's Tony Montana or something. I mean, it's a load of, it was such that was more embarrassing than yesterday's rant, I think. Listening to that interview, I was cringing throughout the whole thing. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. We're all immature at some point when we're teenagers. I was an immature teenager, very, very immature. Probably into my early 20s, I was immature. And I was a twat, basically. And I don't mind saying that because I'm much older now and I'm much wiser. But Joshua, what is he now, 31, 32, something like that? For him to have gone down, his mind to have gone down that path and started talking like a 15-year-old wannabe gangster, that was more cringeworthy to me than what happened last night. But and this seemed to be the natural conclusion to that psychological place he was in. Yeah, it was a strange one, wasn't it? But hey, credit to Usyk. What do I think of the whole event itself? I thought the Zhang Hrgovic fight was good. I enjoyed that. Good old-fashioned grueling 12-rounder. I thought it's weird because I thought Hrgovic. I've always wondered about Hrgovic. I've always thought that people are overrating him. I always wanted to see him go through the fire, and I thought then I'll start, you know, believing in him. Well, he did that, so he answered those questions because Zhang really gave him some serious heat. But that's Zhang. I never thought Zhang would be the guy to test Hrgovic. I thought Hrgovic would wipe Zhang out in 4 rounds or less. So he answered the questions about being able to gut it out, but at the same time, he was sort of exposed because Zhang gave him so much trouble. I thought it was, a good fight, but I don't think you can put Hrgovic anywhere near the top few. Not that he couldn't beat them, but he would start, for me, he'd start as an underdog. I'd like to see Hrgovic against Frank Sanchez. I think that'd be a good fight. The event in Saudi Arabia, I've made my opinion clear on Saudi Arabia. I don't, to me, it's when it drags itself into the modern world, its human rights record is atrocious, and to me, there are things bigger than boxing. But there's money to be made, so they'll go over there and do it. They'll go over there and grab some of that money. I do think, like I said in one of my previous videos, this idea of, laundering your bad deeds, laundering your backward social practices, the homophobia, the sexism, the misogyny, and all the stuff that's gone on in Saudi Arabia, which is just repulsive. You can launder it by bringing in, buying essentially big sporting events and, presenting this wonderful egalitarian society. Ramla Ali was on the card, and of course she's a Muslim, and she had a woeful 65-second knockout. I mean, that wasn't her fault. Ramla Ali ain't a bad fighter, but the opponent just quit after a minute. I mean, literally just quit. So that kind of stole Ramla Ali's thunder. But the idea that, look, we've got a Muslim woman boxing in Jeddah, wow, we're supposed to be so impressed at the massive strides that Saudi Arabia has suddenly made from, the dark ages to to the modern world. Well done, you finally got there, have you? Yeah. Oh, women are allowed to drive now, are they? Oh, blimey, yeah. Well, maybe one day they'll stop being the property of whoever it is they're married to. Yeah, so I want, you know my opinion on that. It's a political thing, unapologetically so. I don't like totalitarian states. I'm not religious. I don't like fascist theocracies. But as an event itself, boxing matches wise, Ben Whittaker, Callum Smith. Whittaker looked all right. Yeah, he's got the raw materials, raw talent's definitely there, but long way to go for me. Long way to go. All flash and dash, but we want to see some substance. He looks all right though. Callum Smith, yeah. Callum Smith, I think he's legitimate world-class light heavy. Very good. So yeah, it was all right. It was all right. But obviously overshadowed by AJ's post-fight meltdown. That's what we get in life sometimes. People behave strangely. It gets on top of them and then they sort of fall apart. Hopefully not permanently. AJ was in tears at the post-fight press conference. Just emotion. Emotion got to him. That's all it is. People will take the piss and make their memes. And that's the way modern society is. But people who take the piss and make the memes are usually people who achieve very little in life. To do what AJ's done, to do what Usyk's done, takes a very, very special type of human being and a very, very rare mindset. The psychology of these people is something most of us don't understand. Anyway, I thought I'd give my thoughts, post-fight thoughts, the morning after, the night before, as I said. If you've got any comments, leave them below. And thanks for watching, as always. Let the dust settle, see what happens, and we'll move on. Yeah, but thank you very much. Hit the like button if you like the video. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Much love to all of you. Take care.